Welcome to the special Board of Education meeting being held on Thursday, January 16th, 2025. We're calling the meeting to order at 4:31 p.m. Can we please call the roll?
Mrs. Arvanites?
Here.
Mrs. Assif?
Here.
Mrs. Caforio?
Here.
Mr. Collins? Dr. Henry?
Here.
Mrs. Hostler?
Here.
Mrs. Troutman?
Here.
We have 6 board members present and 1 absent. At this time, I ask that we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. It looks like we have no public comments, so we'll skip that section, and clearly nobody in the audience. And we will go right to the agenda action items. So we have an action item, action on the agreement with an employee. The action item on the agenda regarding an agreement with an employee is for approval of a resignation agreement with Mr. Christopher Welton, the district's Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations. The agreement provides for Mr. Welton's resignation effective March 1st, 2025, continued salary-based compensation, and transitional service availability through April 30th, 2025, vacation as required by Illinois law, and continuation of health insurance through June 30th, 2025. Mr. Welton has already signed the agreement. Mr. Welton began his employment with the district in July of 2011. We are thankful for his many contributions to the district's ability to consistently meet its educational and operational objectives, and we wish him well in his future endeavors. Can we have a motion?
Before we move to motion, I don't think we do.
Okay.
Do we? I don't think we do. Okay.
I move that the Board of Education approve the resignation agreement with Mr. Welton as already signed by him and is presented by the Board President and the Superintendent, and to authorize the President and Secretary to sign the agreement on behalf of the Board.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mrs. Caforio, second by Ms. Hostler, and we will now, Courtney, go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This afternoon, we are voting on the resignation of the most senior cabinet member in District 205. And I didn't want this day to pass without me taking a second to show my appreciation for everything Mr. Welton has done at his time at District 205. When Mr. Welton was hired in 2011, as a district, our finances were in a very challenging position. We were making budget cuts, including laying off staff, and our facilities were falling apart. In the time that he has been here, we have done a complete 180. We are regularly, independently audited and rated performing highly. In the better part of a decade, I have worked with Mr. Welton through PTA Council, the Referendums Ballot Initiative Committee, and for the last 6 years as a board member. In my opinion, Mr. Welton's decision-making has always kept in mind what's best for our students and what's best for our taxpayer dollars. Most impactful to prove this point is that the community trusted us and our finances so much that they overwhelmingly voted to approve our $168 referendum. It was because of Mr. Welton's stewardship of our tax dollars that during the referendum, when we promised taxpayers that the referendum cost for a $500,000 home wouldn't be more than $150 per household, it only ended up costing $4. So as we move on to this vote, I just wanted to take a second to thank Mr. Welton for his service to 205 and for being an incredibly instrumental part of getting us to where we are now.
Can we call the vote?
Mrs. Caforio?
Yes.
Mrs. Hostler?
Yes.
Mrs. Assif?
Yes.
Mrs. Troutman?
Yes.
Dr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Collins? Mrs. Arvanites?
Yes, 6 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent. The motion passes. Next item on the agenda is board member communications. I don't think we have any. And we will then move on to upcoming meetings. We have a meeting on February 5th of the Committee of the Whole at 5:30 p.m. On February 25th, a regular Board of Education meeting at 7 p.m. Both meetings will be held here at District 205 Center in rooms 215, 16, and 17. And it is 4:36. We are adjourned.